never knows how you come across somebody once in a while you shouldn't have messed with. That's me.
Well,
I am not an African American.
You're an Oreo cookie. White in the inside and black on the outside.
I don't have an afro. I have an Amerifro.
Talking that idiotic stuff you talk about, I will slap you.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Black as the ace of spades, but 100% American.
Heard around the world by everybody and their mama. The Jesse Lee Peterson Radio Show.
Uniting the races with truth instead of dividing them with lies. We're also rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man. I am Jesse Lee Peterson. Marcus Andrew is with us to talk to us about this for a few minutes. Andrew, good morning, sir, and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no, thank you for coming on. Congratulations on your new documentary, Hating Breitbart.
Thank you very much.
What was the, how did you come up with this idea to do a documentary of Andrew?
I actually started out documenting protests, and I was documenting the Tea Party, and I've had it as a focus of my work for a long time, focusing in on the difference between what I would witness on the ground at different events, protests, and what the media would portray. And I saw early on a terrible disconnect between reality and what was portrayed, and it was often skewed to make conservatives or libertarians or anyone who isn't progressive look bad, racist, violent, all the terrible things they say. And so I was very interested in that story. And along comes Andrew Breitbart, who finds instant synergy with the Tea Party because he was being attacked in the exact same way by the exact same people. He had just released the Acorn tapes, and which was the videos by James O'Keefe and Hannah Giles, where they went into Acorn offices across the country posing as a pimp and a prostitute, trying to see if Acorn would help them launder money to open a brothel of child prostitutes to fund a congressional campaign. And of course, in office after office, Acorn let them do it. And by exposing this, Andrew Breitbart was called racist and deceptive and a liar. And so he was facing the exact same charge at the exact same time. And I realized, wow, this guy personifies the story that I'm looking to tell, which is of the way that these people are just being maligned for no other reason than having an opinion that is contrary to the progressive movement.
Right. What was you got a chance to spend a lot of time with Andrew. What was the most impressive thing about him?
Wow. I mean, there are several that really stand out. He was just a tremendous fighter, and he really taught an entire movement of people how to stand up and fight, and that they should and could, and that they could win in doing so. That was amazing. He also was one of the most loyal people I ever met. If you went out on a limb for him, if you told your story and it was a difficult story to tell, and he published it, and then the world started crashing down around you because your story made waves and it was effective, this man would stand behind you and walk through fire with you to defend you and defend your right and defend the truth. That is so rare today. I would say those, other than that, my God, the sense of humor on this man. He was absolutely hilarious, and even his detractors who took the time to get to know him very quickly realized, wow, I may not agree with any of his politics, but he sure is a lot of fun to be around, and that's what he was, a very charming man.
I had the utmost respect for him for many reasons, and the one that stands out in my mind, maybe more than one, but the one that really got my attention is that he was so bold and brave in what he believed in, and he went out there and presented that. And a lot of conservatives today are afraid to stand up and fight back for what they believe in.
Yeah, that's right. People seem to have sort of reverted back to old school. A lot of people, the old answer when somebody accused you of being racist was to say, "Well, no, I'm not." And Andrew Breitbart realized that's the wrong answer. When someone accuses you of being racist, you stand up and you say, as he said in the film, he says, "F you, war," and that was what he did. He declared war, not just on behalf of himself, but on behalf of the entire movement.
I started the Second Amendment Emancipation Proclamation for white Americans, freeing them up to speak freely when it comes to the race issues, because I realized that one word, racism, has really just brought them to a standstill. They are afraid of that word, not realizing that they are being manipulated by the liberals with that one word. If they can do what Andrew did, overcome that word, I don't think it was ever a problem for Andrew, but if they could overcome that word, because the liberals don't have anything else but intimidation, we can really save this country.
Andrew had three words, I think, that were very telling. Apologize for what? This is at the heart of the race issue. Is this? They're constantly trying to make people feel guilty, so that they can control them. If you feel guilty, you'll bend pretty much to will.
Yeah.
Their whole business is this race card and this race
That's
trade.
right.
Look at Jesse Jackson.
Yeah.
Look at Al Sharpton. Look at Louis Farrakhan. I mean, it's an industry, and they are invested in there being this conflict. Look at Julian Bond. Well, how horrifying! This guy gets on national television, MSNBC, and says not only that he absolutely approves that the IRS was suppressing people's right to free speech, suppressing their ability to express themselves. He's completely cool with that because, according to him, the Tea Party are the Taliban of American politics.
That's
the
amazing.
last time I checked, the last Tea Party I went to, and I've been to a bunch, there were no female genital mutilations. There were no stoning of homosexuals. There were no chopping off the infidel's head, all right?
Yep.
But this is what we live with. We live with this rhetoric. And I think the reason people are afraid and conservatives are afraid to take this head on is because there's an entire industry of hatred that is aimed at you if you try to take this on. If you say the wrong thing, if you are you don't even have to say the wrong thing. If you are somebody who believes in small government run by the Constitution, you are portrayed by this machine, this media machine, as racist. And I describe this machine this way. The progressive movement has weaponized newsrooms to assassinate character.
Yes.
No one can underestimate how devastating it is to fall under attack of this machine. And it's part of what made Andrew Breitbart so brave and so strong, was that he knew that machine inside and out. He knew that machine was going to come at him with both barrels blazing, and he went in anyway.
And it's only going to get worse unless all Americans who are on the side of good, but especially white Americans, if they don't stand up, it's just going to get worse. It's not going to get better.
Well, I think that partly, look, I mean, the progressive movement in the last 4 or 5 years, all they've had is the race card.
Yeah.
And I think that they've, like I said, they came at Andrew in the movement with both barrels blazing, but I'm pretty sure that those barrels are beginning to click empty because it's all they have, and every time they serve that gruel, it gets thinner and thinner.
Yes.
I think they're losing their ability to own the narrative with that charge.
Let me take a quick break. Andrew Marcus is with me. Back in a moment. My guest is Andrew Marcus. He is the director of the brand new documentary Hating Breitbart, and it opened in major theaters around the country this past Friday. Andrew unfortunately expired unexpectedly in March of last year at the age of 43. I was absolutely shocked when that happened. He is greatly missed around here. Andrew Breitbart's career started with the Drudge Report. Did he help start the Drudge Report?
I don't think he helped start it, but he was involved pretty early on. He came on to assist Matt Drudge, and he was there really around the time of the, I think probably the most formative moment was the Monica Lewinsky scandal.
Yeah.
And I think that really informed Andrew, because what he saw was they took a story that was about a president lying under oath, okay? That's
Right.
a serious subject. And the media turned it into a story about sex, and that anybody who was interested in the story is only fetishizing sex, and they're just obsessed with sex, and it's just a bunch of conservative Puritans obsessed with sex. And they were very successful at pushing that narrative and changing the direction of that incident. And I think that Andrew Breitbart watched that and went, "Oh my God, this is dangerous. We exist in a system where the media can twist anything, and that's the way the narrative goes." I think that really set him on his course.
He had a great talent of breaking news stories and then bringing them to the forefront. I don't know of anyone else who can do it as well.
Right, he was larger than life, and he would get into the scrum, and I think that's part of what really made him so different. There's a lot of people who break stories, and there's a lot of people who are pundits who get it. Very few of them will actually go wade into the middle of an Acorn protest and simply by being there expose their lies, taking a video camera with them and recording it and exposing their lies. And frankly, that was what he was about, and that's what's different now about media and the media landscape. It's still tough. They still have a lot of control over the narrative, but the monopoly is gone, and the fight is on. Everybody's got their own cameras. There's two things that have happened that are changing things, and the first one is acquisition, because everybody's got a camera. The second is distribution, because of the internet. And so if somebody can do it, Andrew Breitbart was really one of the first to just absolutely harness the ability to leverage that new power to break down the narrative wall.
As presented in the documentary, Andrew broke the story about former Congressman Anthony Weiner when he lied about sending lewd pictures of himself on Twitter.
He accused Andrew of hacking. He implied that Andrew hacked him, which is a felony.
Yeah.
That's how disgusting these people are. They will do anything to protect their own power, and even acting like bullies. And Andrew abhorred bullies, and so that was a fight he was willing to take on.
Tell the folks why they need to go and see this documentary, Hating Breitbart.
People need to go see it, especially because look at what is happening today. Look at what is happening with the IRS scandal, the Benghazi scandal. I mean, these are all things that Andrew fought to try and help us prevent. He fought to try and bring us the truth, and unfortunately now we're getting it. He was the biggest defender of the Tea Party. He stood up and defended them against the charges of racism unlike anyone else. He gave it everything he had, and now the Tea Party is basically being completely vindicated by this IRS scandal.
Yes.
And if you want to know how it happened, if you want to understand how we got here, you've got to go see Hating Breitbart and see what he was fighting for. This was what he was about, and people are coming out of the theater. I am so impressed and floored. They are absolutely motivated. They come out and they're like, "Oh, wow, we get it, and that is so needed right now, especially as the Tea Party is about to kick back up. There's big Tea Party protests coming Tuesday in front of IRS offices. Check it out at Tea Party Patriots. This film is a movement film, and it's needed right now.
How did it do this past weekend?
We landed so we had their theater release, and we also were out on iTunes, Amazon, streaming, Netflix, on demand, and we landed at, I think they're telling me we landed at number 3 for digital, for documentaries on Amazon, and number 6 or number 7 on iTunes for documentary, which is amazing. I mean, we're a very small film with a small budget, and so for us to be able to land and punch through there is fantastic for us, and we're just so thrilled that we're finally getting this movie after all this time out to people who knew Andrew or knew of Andrew or are in the movement and understand the stories, and they're just responding off the charts. I never could have predicted, in fact, how well they're responding. It's fantastic.
Congratulations to you, by the way. You did an excellent job.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah. Do you have a website, anything you'd like to give out?
Yes, if you go to hatingbreitbart.com, you can see everywhere we're available. You can order the DVD, and I'm also at Hating Breitbart on Twitter.
My final question, we're running out of time here. I read that you were scheduled to have a public discussion with the Acorn founder last Friday. Did that happen, and how did that go?
That's right, yeah. How these things happen, I'm not exactly sure. The Wade Rathke, was the founder of Acorn, has his own radio show on a radio station that Acorn owns in Arkansas. And I think somebody from our team must have, because we opened in Arkansas, was calling around to stations in Arkansas and recognized Wade Rathke's name and called them up to see if he'd have me on just as a lark. And he said yes. And so I was on with him for a good half an hour.
How did it go?
I was very surprised. He was not defensive at all. He wasn't confrontational at all, which was all very nice. It was nice to have a civil conversation with the guy. Although, what's interesting is he acts as though he's completely divorced from the Acorn scandal because he wasn't the lead organizer of Acorn at that moment when the scandal happened. I think he had left like about a year or so prior. So he feels as though he's got nothing to do with that scandal whatsoever. These are the same people who still to this day blame George Bush for everything.
Yeah.
But he's got his hands clean because he's got nothing to do with it. He wasn't there at the time. He's the inventor of that corrupt organization.
That's how Obama is. He tried to separate himself from the three scandals that are broken right now. He act like he's not a part of it at all.
Right, exactly. Well, somebody put out, I think the New Yorker put out a paragraph, it was mocking him it was a fake press release assuring the American people that he hasn't had anything to do with the American government for the past 4 or 5 years.
Amazing. Well, Andrew Markins, director of Hating Breitbart, thank you so much, man, for what you're doing. Excellent film. Is there something people can do to get it in theaters in their town if it's not already there?
Oh, absolutely. First of all, you can reach out to us at contact@hatingbreitbart.com, and we are currently booking screenings. There's a lot of demand coming in for it. Also, if you go to hatingbreitbart.com, we have a section there called Demand It, where you can click there, put in your zip code, and it tells us where you are, and it helps us understand where the demand is for the film. I believe we've got tea parties all over the country that are right now is to come hold an event with them. So we are definitely interested in getting this film out to anyone and everyone who has an interest and understands and wants to see it.
Andrew Marcus, congratulations again, and thank you so much for spending time with us this morning.
Thank you so much. You take care.
All right, buddy. 888-7753-773. Back in a moment.